we think of them as dreams or mythologies, and we're using that language on purpose because they're kind of the ideals that I think many, many working professional parents kind of live in terms of. That doesn't mean that we actually do them or that it's possible to do all aspects of all of them. I mean, the idea is, in a way, when you go to bed at night, what do you feel guilty about not getting to today? And that's the kind of myth that you're living in terms of. So it's not that we actually see people enacting all of these myths, but that they're really trying and that they feel bad when they can't. And so what we talk about is that these are coming from three different kind of domains of life. So one is the work. And what does it mean to be what's considered an ideal worker? So someone who's really committed to the workplace, who's considered a good colleague, who's able to work late, answer emails at a moment's notice, really kind of show to their, peers and bosses that they are on it. Then there's the person who really, really is this like perfect parent, right? So someone who's living, really able to provide their kids what society tells them is the right kind of parenting. So kids who are in a bunch of sporting activities, right? Who are able to have really quality time with their parents, sharing their schoolwork, their technology use, and that they're really devoting themselves to like the project of raising their kids. And then this third dream of someone who is really taking care of their body. So is fit and exercising and really feeling like they're, eating right. And of course, we can't do all of them. We actually argue that you can't do any one of them 100% because each one requires, if you actually take it to like its logical extreme, requires total commitment, total time and energy. So you can't do just one, no less all three, but interestingly, we're all trying. And people do a really good job of approximating and kind of doing that juggling act where there might always be a ball on the floor, but they're picking it up. They're continuously picking it up and they're continuing to keep trying to keep those balls in the air and moving between enacting these different mythologies and dreams. And it's really quite impressive to see how they do it in their everyday lives.
So what would you say at the organizational level? What some ideas of what organizations can do to kind of support employees, not just during COVID, but just generally in thinking about these three goals?
So I think there's two things here. I think what Christine brought up, first of all, we don't want to put all of this on organizations because we really do think government needs to take a much more active role, especially in the US. But putting that aside, I do think that, if you want to believe that organizations are saving a lot of money right now, if those that are sending workers home, so the working remote, there's a numbers out there that suggest that they save about 30% in operating costs. And what happens to that money? And I think one of the interesting things to think about is that there is a precedent for organizations kind of helping humans take care of themselves as humans in order for them to work. So we think about on-site gyms or on-site catering or the different ways, the different kinds of perks that organizations have given to employees in the workplace. And I guess what we would be curious to know is, would organizations be willing, and what would it look like to think about that kind of attention to your worker outside of the workplace? So one of the things that this book really brings light to is how much is going on the home front. And of course, this is different depending on the nature of the family, the nature of resources, and the nature of help. But all families, someone has to put food on the table, you want to keep a fairly clean household, children need to be cared for, et cetera. And what about those, could organizations play a more active role in actually providing some of those services? So what would it look like if an organization actually was helped by bringing housekeepers into the home or providing meals at home or something like that? We think that it really could be an opening to explore the ways in which organizations could be responsible for their employees in different ways.
And I guess the other thing that organizations could do and this is sort of more on managers on the technology front, is we need to be more deliberate about how we use technology in the workplace. And sort of this gets to the spiral of expectations that we haven't talked about yet, but the ways in which technology increases the expectations. And in COVID in particular, you see people that are juggling all of these things at home. And, if you move, if a meeting keeps getting moved, for example, that has ripple effects on that my ability to carve out this hour to have this meeting. Well, if it just got moved and now I don't have anyone to watch my kids so I think being really careful also about understanding what you're asking of people, like having good good norms around moving meetings, when it's okay to schedule meetings, when you need to allow people the flexibility to work when and how they can, given the complexities of their lives, and not sort of you're available 24/7 whenever the organization calls. So that also I think needs to be pushed back.